And good afternoon, racing fans. Welcome. Miller Emily Gullikson.
You're tired too.
I'm
tired
always
too.
tired. I am. I'm tired. I admit it. Emily did like 7 hours of a pool party yesterday, covering tracks all across the country. But you were handling things for the pool party for Pacific Classic Day, and yeah, they just post times went later, so they moved into the evening. So it was a lengthy day for you.
Yeah, it was tough. We just kind of were like in that spot. It was getting late. A lot of people were trying to head in and trying to make something happen. But you know, they're always fun. It's always great to get everybody out. There's 50 people that participated. Huge spread of food, which Hawthorne throws down when it comes to food and parties. So no shortage there. It was a good time. Wish I could have returned a little bit more, but it was kind of just one of those days where I was working with a long period of time, trying to get people action, trying to get them paying attention. Some good ideas didn't work out. Some good ideas or some bad ideas that also didn't work out. And that's playing horses, right? It has to be your day. Everything has to line up. You need racing luck and you need good odds. So.
Yeah, and it happens. And you know what? I mean, I'm sure everybody, like I said, when it's a good spread, it's a good venue, get some drinks in that, it is always a good time and spread out over the course of the day. It's not a huge investment for them either. So one of those things that turns out good. It was a big first day of college football. So a lot of people watching football, I'm sure, as well, especially at that venue.
And a lot of people watching Frost. He was a hit, as always. And that's why Frost took the day off today, because Frost is tired. He did a lot of entertaining yesterday.
Good job by Frost yesterday, and the last couple days, too. Sunny skies, high of 75. To the firm, we're going to see what happens for that first turf race, but I walked it yesterday. When I walked it about midday yesterday, it was good at that point. So I'm expecting good to firm for the turf course today. So looking forward to that. There's racing going on. We have the screens up with Woodbine's going on. Saratoga's wrapping up this week. Delmar.
Ravelli, and we'll get a lot of tension on that. At least I thought he was going to be favored, and he will be by post time.
Yeah.
But, you know, coming out of a good barn, he should continue to hold his form. It'll just come down to trip and hoping that Landmark Deal gets the jump. Yeah,
good contentious race, though, for the opener there. We'll see what happens, but as Emily mentioned, we'll wheel back around to that after we get through the 9 races here. We do have 4 on the turf today. The first one on the grass is race number 2, 5/8 of a mile on the good turf course. Allowance runners in race number 2. It's a field of 7 to line up in here. Haha Gloria coming back from Canterbury Park off a maiden score. Greatana posted a huge effort in that last out as well. You get Horse and Devil from the barn of Michelle Boyce trying the turf for the first time today. This is a pretty intriguing race here for the second.
I totally agree. I think this race is very competitive. Greatana makes a lot of sense, and you list it as the morning line favorite, and I think that's in that good number last out, did it the right way, has had 35 days to recover, get back to another top effort, has the right running style for today's race shape. Devil, I've been waiting for Devil to get to the turf.
Yeah.
Going all the way back to the juvenile season, looked like a turf runner, will finally get that belated chance to run on the turf. Michelle Boyce has been sending out live runners. She just holds her form. She's competitive. And, you know, with Haha Gloria, number 4 Haha Gloria, I was just concerned she's going to get a lot of attention here. Yeah. Based on the recent outcome, and speed figure wise, she really doesn't have an edge in this field. So kind of look like a horse maybe would be in underlay territory in here. She's going to have to step up and take on winners and get a little bit faster. So preferred some of those others, and even Reba Attack I'm not going to ignore.
Yeah, Haha Gloria was the one that I think we both thought was going to be the winner here at Hawthorne 2 starts back. They didn't get the job done here. Had to go up to Minnesota to win that race, and only won by a length after being pushed every step of the way. I don't think that field was nearly as strong, clearly nowhere close or as strong as what you're going to see here in the second. Doesn't mean the horse can't run into the mix. It's just a matter of, like you said, how much action that one takes there for the second half of the double, the start of the early pick 4. Race 3 today goes 3/4 of a mile, $5,000 claimers, non-winners of 2 races lifetime. It's a field of 7 to line up in this spot. The horse I laid as the heavy favorite was the 4 Accelerating Babe from the barn of trainer Heather Iron. This is a horse that I had in the mix. I decided to try to beat it only for the fact that they've run 2 really good races, but it was a voided claim in that last out, and now you drop. But if the horse is right, this is the horse to beat.
Definitely the horse to beat, and even from a pace standpoint, has enough early speed that should just be able to kick clear and go out and potentially wire this field, and that makes them tough, not only just with those recent efforts and speed figures, class edge, but a pace edge. I think she's going to be tough in here. Probably the next likely would be Sapphire Nights, but she just might end up chasing.
Yeah.
Is that kind of the way you saw it?
That's how I saw it, and that was the reason that I went away from both of them. I thought one shows speed, the other chases. I gave a stab to Baba's Gal in here. Had to go down to Fairmount Park to get that victory in that last out. I chased this horse a little bit earlier on in the meet, had it when it actually ran second at 23-1.
Yeah.
4 starts back. You're going to have to get back to that race, and others are going to have to regress for this horse to win. But if anything, just looking for a little bit of a price.
I like that idea. I think that idea is very clever. If they do beat each other up, both those horses, Written Consent, Baba's Gal, and even Sequoia. I think Sequoia moving to the outside is a big positive in here. And as you're turning the page, Hip Hop Emmy is another one that has some early speed. So I think it could set up from off the pace if you are going to take on Accelerating Babe.
And if the favorites do go. And the one thing about that, with the Heather Iron horse, it might be a free pass because a lot of people get scared off of the voided claim in that last start. So even if you drop off the voided claim, they may say, okay, I don't know if I want to jump in on here. So maybe they get away with one there as well in race number 3. 4th race on the card, 6250 maiden claimers. They go 3/4 of a mile. This is a big scratch. Take out the 3 Chiquita Reina, as that horse probably was the winner of that race. With that one out, kind of opens things up a little bit. Ernestina on the outside, I think, is going to be pretty tough now. Queen Anna T probably should get in the mix. Is that kind of how you saw things a little bit in this race?
Those were the two. I was going to be a little bit negative on Chiquita Reina, trying to get creative in there just from those races at Churchill Downs. It was closer to a lateral move and didn't get the job done. As far as number 7, Ernestina, I like the class drop, but more than that, the distance change. Going back to her most recent start was wide against the flow. After losing ground, the rider wrapped up, and just from a physical standpoint, looks like one turn. They come back to one turn in here, has the form, and I think just placed where she can win, clear that maiden condition. As far as number 6, Queen Anna T, another one that makes a lot of sense. Another one that was just kind of wrapped up, and then they continued to gallop out after the wire after a troubled start in that most recent start. The pattern of layoff lines always gives me some pause, though, especially with the drop. So that was some reservation. So I think it's Ernestine this day.
And Queen Anna T, this is going to be the 4th start at 4 different racetracks, so something that I definitely have to take into account too. Ernestine, I'm with you. I think the distance change is key. I think this horse is much better sprinting. They tried the routes in a couple of races there on the grass, one of them that came off, and that was even a 2nd place effort. But this is, I just think, a much better spot. I agree with you there in a race number 4. In the 5th, $25,000 claimers go 5.5 furlongs in this spot. We do have a scratch. Take out the 2, Frankel Baby. Could turn out to be a key scratch, as that horse was going to be some of the pace of this race. Opens things up maybe for a couple others. Madeline Bell is a horse that we know is going to take a lot of action, but there's still a lot of speed in here. For me, I went to a price in Chrome Attack. I know you were looking to another price along the rail in Frosted Eclair.
And she's wonderful as well. I'm a little bit, the more I looked at it as far as Frosted Eclair, I'm concerned about the trip from the rail because she's had some gait issues in the past, and when she's been on the inside, she's had to show early speed. Now, the scratch of Frankel Baby might even push them to do that a little bit more. And I'm not surprised to see the scratch of Frankel Baby because Brittany Vandenberg also had Get the Candy, and they both have that same running style. So you're kind of figuring, like, how would they tactically take on each other in this race? Because if they both run their race, they're going to beat each other up. So I think Get the Candy kind of moves up, could be a best of the speed situation. And as I'm talking about Frosted Eclair from the rail, Madeline Bell's going to also have to work a trip from the outside. She's probably going to have to go with some of the other speed in there. So probably sets up for Chrome Attack, and even she's wonderful to hopefully get first run. They've used a similar pattern in the past. She has fitness, cutting back to a sprint. Just needs some racing luck and a trip.
And because we had that rain earlier in the week, you have a course that does have at least a little bit of give to it, so it's not going to be that super hard, super firm front-running course that we were seeing just a few weeks ago. I still think it's going to play rather evenly, but because you have the amount of pace in that race, even though there's only 6 in that field, I'm with you. I agree. I think horses can close some ground late, and we'll see if that's the case there in race number 5. 6th race on the card starts the late pick 4, 6250 maidens. They go 3/4 of a mile. Field of 8 lines up here in race number 6. Captain's Flag is first off the claim here for trainer Jim Watkins. This was the even money choice at this level in their last out.
I don't think they can win today.
Ran okay. You don't think so?
Aren't they scratch? No?
Unless Captain's Flag came out and I didn't have it.
Okay. I thought I was downstairs and I heard that. All right, maybe not. I'm wrong on that.
I'm going to have to find out. We'll see. We'll find out from the TV crew. They can yell in my ear if the 2 is scratched in race 6 or not. I have the horse in, so I'm hoping the horse is in. That's my top pick in the race.
All right. Maybe I'm just making it more confusing than it needs to be. I agree. I think coming back from that common race, Captain's Flag would make the most sense. I went to Larry's Lunchbox, coming off the slight freshening. Maybe gets a trip in here, able to stalk outside Captain's Flag, Malibu Brad, and Ultimate Fighter. Maybe that one shows speed coming back off the layoff and works a trip. But I guess the captain's flag's in the race, he can probably still compete.
Well, yes, that would be the case. Larry's Lunchbox, 12 starts. This is a horse that's hit the board in 6 out of those 12. Just kind of a model of consistency, has a little bit of tactical speed. As we look through, yes, captain's flag is still running, at least as of now, because we don't have any changes on it.
Right,
so
Vanessa.
It's probably because you were seeing I'm Your Captain is out of
Maybe
race
that's what it
number,
was.
7.
Okay,
So
yes.
those
Okay.
dang captains, what's going on there?
Yeah.
It's that's got to be what it is. It was just the wrong captain. So
there we go.
That's okay. We'll give you a pass. You had a long late night last night.
Exactly.
So
okay.
and captain's flag, yeah, that's a good thing. They're in here. They can win. That's who I'm going to. I'm not going to give you any more analysis other than that. They're in race number 6. 7th race on the card. 5.5 furlong allowance runners in this spot. Scratch the 4. I'm Your Captain.
There
and
we
scratch
go.
the 9. Give me the candy. So it leaves you with a field of 7 to line up here in race number 7. You did a long write-up on a single racehorse in here, and that was American Mayhem from the outside or near the outside for Jimmy DeVito.
Yeah, we talk about assessing the favorite, right? And looking at American Mayhem, they should be favored in here. And I wanted to write up saying I think this is a valid favorite, and here's why. Now, if you want to play against the horse at a short price, I fully understand, but I think that the race goes through them. They have some of the faster figures coming back from the race at Ellis Park on July 29th. The winner of that race, Chris Block runner called Out of Deductions, one that we know well. That one came from off the pace and a good runner. Just think they get fit today's race shape. There should be plenty of pace. What do you think? Mark has early speed. Congrats on 50. Definitely has early speed, and Codename probably has to go from the outside. So American Mayhem should sit right behind those runners and in the right spot for a return and a win.
I saw things similarly to you, that there was going to be a contested pace. I just went to one that was going to come from maybe just a little bit closer to the pace. That's the other Ravelli, the 3 Gavel. Orlando Mojica aboard this runner today, as Gavel's a horse that was running on the synthetic at Presque Isle. Leading into this race, you shift over to the turf. You have the one turf race, and that was at the fairgrounds back in January. Kind of chased, made a little bit of a middle move before flattening out late. I'm just think it's worth giving a shot here to this one to kind of rate and rally, and let's see if Gavel can pick off some horses in the lane, as that one sits at 9-2 in the morning line there in race number 7. Race 8 turned out great for leg 4 of the helicopter series here. We go 1 mile and 3/16 in this spot. You get a field of 8 to line up in here. And you look up and down the field, all right, Double Thunder is probably going to be the favorite, but I don't know if they're going to be a heavy favorite because there's some others in the spot. I love the move here to just take the weight off the horse a little bit, give a little bit of a break at the longer distance. Rachel Slavinsky's been riding very well, and Julio has ridden Double Thunder very well also. But just with that break and weight after winning a race earlier on in the sequence, maybe makes a difference for Double Thunder going this mile and 3/16.
And if nothing else, it just shows intent, that they're at least trying to mix something up and get over the hump of those minor finishes and get the win in here, and that is a positive. You'll have a longer distance today. Double Thunder is certainly capable, again, has that intention on their side, has consistency on their side. Global Empire was able to get the better of them last out, and no reason to see why Global Empire is in form right now, has a similar run style, should be able to stalk. And I think Trip comes into play here because Double Thunder has enough early speed, but I don't think they're gonna try to make the lead.
No,
and
Slava Ukraini's got to go.
Exactly, and so Slava Ukraini can wire this field.
Sure.
I think there's a scenario where Slava Ukraini can get bold on the lead, because if they all try to take back, he goes, it's a longer distance, just gets a little bit brave out there and runs his race. I see that scenario, so I would use Slava Ukraini at a big price in here.
And if that's the case, because especially at this longer distance, sometimes they just fall into line for the first even 3/4 of a mile, and then the running picks up late. But if the horse that's on the lead has been able to catch a breather throughout, and that's a horse that does get brave when on the lead going into that far turn, that wouldn't surprise me by any means. Give a little bit of a look to Hands Off the Goods, too, as it's been in a really solid form of late for trainer Irvin Moreno. That one would not surprise me either. Close things out on the turf, 7.5 on the turf course, $20,000 maidens in the last. Get a field of 8 to line up to close things out. You have Chris Block with a horse in here in Perfect Manhattan, who I know is going to take some action. Drama Queenie could be a little bit of a factor. WW Best at times, maybe Babe in the Woods. It's a nice race to kind of finish it out because there's a lot of horses to just kind of muddy things up a little bit.
This race is so competitive. I would say probably number 7, Good Magic Woman, maybe has the biggest hurdle stepping up in class and with the distance change and with the others in the field. But with that said, really hard to separate this group. They're all coming, many of them are coming back from that August 8th common race that was a pretty fast pace early on, so you could upgrade WW Best at times, Perfect Manhattan. And then a couple new faces in here. Classy Action is one that I like, stretching out on the turf, and didn't like they were running in a maiden special weight event, but and the maiden claiming much better position. Draw McQueen is a horse you liked last out.
Yep.
I like the other Russell runner because I thought that one was going to move up when the races came off the turf. Got the job done, but now Draw McQueenie's on the turf, second off with that drop, with the fitness under their belt, and I wouldn't even ignore number 1, Enticing Option, because they're not dropping to the bottom late in the season. They're going to run for 20. They've got good connections, steady works. That's a really tough race. If you're playing that sequence, spread.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many in there. I didn't even mention Safecracker Sue, who could just catch the right field and trip. Talked about her a little bit on the.
I'm sure Steve talked about her. Yeah, I'm sure Steve talked about Safecracker Sue.
We also
so
just talked about how contentious this race is, and you know, he's like, we're just hoping for a good run and getting a check.
Yeah, it's a fun race to close out the card. Definitely, so many horses in with a shot in there. That's how we see the 9 races again. We have Sunny Skies, fast main track, good on the turf. Let's flip back, take a look at the field. 4, the opener is in the first. We go a mile and a 16th. Condition $5,000 claimer is to kick things off. Scratch the 3, Cramden. Field of 5 lines up in race number 1. Your 3-2 favorite on the outside right now is the 6, Bandit Swanson. This one from the barn of trainer Armando Hernandez. That's who we'll start out with in here. Bandit Swanson taking a little bit of a class drop, and this one's dropped down a couple of times since coming back off that layoff. Question is, are they just trying to drop into a winning spot today?
You would think so. The fact that Orlando Mojica sticks aboard is a positive. Third off, he's been given the 35 days, which is a difference in terms of timing. He was wheeling back in 10 days for that July 28th race. Now the front wraps are still on. I was hoping to see that change in here, but with the drop, maybe they're trying to keep the horse in the barn. He looked like he needed a prep coming off the layoff. Has had progressive numbers. The back numbers, I think both, if you and I were aboard, this horse would win this race for fun, but he hasn't returned to those back numbers yet this season, so we'll see. Certainly capable in here. I don't know if 3-2 is playable, at least for me in this field, but he's a capable runner.
It's a barn that has had a very good meet on the year. This is a horse that, like you said, has a lot of back class, just looking to return into the form. I like that Orlando Mojica takes the ride once again. I think that is a key note here. Again, it just comes down to value more than anything. We'll see if Bandit Swanson can win from the outside. Now for me, looking to the inside, I'm going to the 1. That's Millard's Smile. You get a look at Millard's Smile right there. This one first off the claim from the barn of trainer Larry Ravelli, a horse that's been pretty much a model of consistency in those recent starts. It was a good game victory in that last out. And I like that off the claim they don't ask for too much. Go right back in the same level and kind of say, can we play the claiming game, turn around and get a victory and see if somebody wants to take the horse as well.
Exactly. I think that's what it is he's coming out of a good barn with Eduardo Rodriguez, so you're not necessarily looking for Ravelli to move this horse up. I'm not sure if he could anyways. He's been in a good barn and this horse is who he is, but just to hold his form. Now, he did get a pretty favorable ride last out, worked out that trip with that wide move, had some pace to target. Does make that run from off the pace, but he's a consistent type, always finishing in the money, and that is just absolutely tough to knock.
Yeah, he's a pretty solid racehorse. Likes this Hawthorne strip too, but looks good in the paddock right now. Sits currently at 5-2. After that, a couple of others to look at. Let's look to the 5 horse here. That is Landmark Deal, a horse that you did give a look to in this spot. 3-1 on the board for trainer Steve Manley. As you mentioned, Travis Wales in to ride. Travis rode this one in that start, 2 back against tougher company. That was a 3rd place effort, not a bad effort by any means.
And the winner of the race, Troy Ounce, came back and won, and it was a very solid number. He earned a 78, which stacks on par with many of the others in the field. He was a little bit warm that day, had to rush up on the inside to make that move. Now, it wasn't necessarily a fast pace, but I think it was a good conditioning race for Landmark Deal. And as far as the August 18th race, there really wasn't much intention that day. He raced wide, he was in hand. The barn also sent out Bialia, who was more fancied and finished 3rd. So I think that was a good conditioning race. Landmark Deal is so overdue for a win. I think this could be the right time and place. And taking some action from when we talked early to now, currently sitting as the 3rd choice, 3-1.
Yeah, wouldn't surprise me at all. I expect a pretty good effort as well. And then the 4 is Two Cookie Rule. Two Cookie Rule from the barn of trainer Dino DeZeo. Another one that's been good over the course of those last 3 starts. Has a little bit of tactical speed in a race that doesn't have a ton of pace. Maybe they try to sit a little bit closer early.
He's another one that's been in good form, competitive this season, needed those 2 sprints to kind of race himself into shape, caught the eye when he made that big closing gallop on July 11th, almost got the job done, just not quite on the level of Kazan's success. Those 2 were together at the wire. I was just a little bit concerned if he's done too much running and he put himself over the top, because he's going to have to run another big race. This is a competitive group.
Yeah, we'll see how things unfold in here as riders are getting a leg up for race 1. Good luck.
coming on the track for the first race to go 1 mile and 1/16. Scratch number 3, Cramden. That leaves a field of 5. No jockey changes, no overweights. Win, play, show, exacta, trifecta, superfecta. This race starts the rolling daily doubles, rolling pick threes, the 50-cent pick